With mother gone, the world turned cold and gray. You faced the dawn and found a brighter way. A Georgiana strength you hold inside, a quiet courage, nowhere left to hide.
Of all the religious belief systems extant, I was most fascinated by the Estolian faith. After I lost my Maria, I searched every system out there, seeking comfort, but in the end, it was the Estolian faith I selected. I believed I would see her again in Tarizan if I followed the teachings of Zacharias. I would live in accordance with the faith, secure in the promised reward. It was easy enough to do for a single man like myself. Nearly all of his teachings were about marital relationships, and I would never marry. Not without my Maria. Thaddeus Montclair, Personal Journal.
Bethany's eyes fluttered open, and she found herself face to face with Theo. She nearly questioned why he was there, but the recollection of the explosion suddenly rushed back, causing her to shudder and close her eyes again. Recognizing the sterile environment of a hospital room, semi-private with just 2 beds, she felt disoriented and groggy. The horrific memory of the woman she had tried to save, her face marred by protruding bones and a ruined eye, filled Bethany with a wave of nausea.
"How are you feeling?"
Theo asked softly, his voice gentle. He scooted his chair a little closer and took her hand, his touch steady and brotherly.
"Exhausted,"
Bethany rasped, grimacing.
"My ribs hurt."
"Do you remember the explosion?"
Theo asked. When she nodded, he continued.
"The blast from the boat shattered several ribs on your right side. The doctors do not believe there are any other injuries."
Bethany hesitated, her voice trembling.
"What about the woman I tried to save? I need to know if she survived."
"She lives. As I understand it, her father was killed in the disaster."
He looked mournful.
"Thaddeus is paying for her medical care, but she is all alone in the world now."
Bethany's stomach churned at the memory of the woman's injuries, and she struggled to find the right words.
"What?"
she asked softly, her voice trembling as she tried to ask the question tactfully.
"You wish to know what injuries she sustained?"
Theo finished Bethany's question gently.
"The left side of her face and her left arm both took the brunt of the explosion. Her jaw was shattered, she lost her left eye and her left forearm. It will be several months before she is healed. You saved her life. She would have drowned if you did not help her."
"Couldn't she come to Estolia to heal?"
Bethany inquired, her voice filled with concern. A slight crease formed on Theo's brow as he pondered Bethany's question. After a brief moment, his expression softened into a peaceful nod.
"You are most thoughtful, Bethany. I believe she will flourish in Estolia if given the time to recuperate. I shall discuss it with my father before extending the invitation to her. The doctors have suggested that you remain here in the United States for a couple more weeks before attempting to fly."
As Georgiana regained consciousness, she found a nurse by her bedside.
"How are you?"
the nurse asked gently. Unable to respond verbally, the nurse quickly clarified,
"You won't be able to speak right away. Your jaw is wired shut."
For the next couple of days, Georgiana remained in the intensive care unit. Nurses drifted in and out, but only a few offered words. During the first 24 hours, measured by the clock above the door, her life seemed to pitch and roll between dueling extremes. She would surface from restless sleep to razor-sharp pain radiating through her face, barely able to move before pain forced her hand to the call button. The arrival of a nurse, sometimes silent, sometimes kind, meant relief in the form of pain medicine flowing through her IV. By the second day, the excruciating pain in Georgiana's face had dulled to a more manageable level. When the nurse arrived to administer more pain medicine, she waved her off. The nurse insisted gently,
"I'll just give you half the dose, then. You don't want to cut it off completely."
She woke on the second evening to find for the first time that she was not alone. Thaddeus Montclair sat at her bedside, accompanied by another man she didn't recognize. Thaddeus's eyes were red-rimmed and heavy with dark circles, clear signs he hadn't slept, and had likely been crying. She remembered Maria, Thaddeus's fiancée, and how Maria had pushed her away from the explosion, probably saving her life. Thaddeus's voice was rough, almost hoarse when he finally spoke.
Hello, Georgiana, how are you?
She couldn't respond to his greeting. By now she had learned to treat all questions as rhetorical, so she waited. Thaddeus let the silence hang for a moment, and then said,
I'm sure you want to know what's happened. I'm guessing no one has bothered to tell you about the accident or your injuries.
She gave a brief nod. She knew something was wrong with her left side. Her left eye couldn't see and her left arm felt numb, strangely heavy. At least one nurse had avoided looking at her altogether, as if she were too hideous to behold.
They say there was a buildup of gasoline fumes in the engine housing.
Thaddeus explained softly.
The fumes caught fire and caused an explosion.
His haggard appearance hinted that his fiancée, Maria, was one of the casualties. She wished she could find some way to comfort him.
About half the people on the houseboat suffered some type of serious injury, while the others sustained only minor injuries.
Thaddeus said with a heavy voice.
12 of my guests were killed in the disaster. I don't know how to say this gently, Georgiana. Your father didn't make it.
She'd already assumed he was either dead or gravely injured. From that one frozen instant when the explosion erupted, 2 images remained with her. First, Maria, outlined by a strangely beautiful, malevolent fireball about to devour her, and, over Maria's shoulder, the other figure she'd recognized, already fully engulfed in flames. Her father.
You had a pretty devastating injury, Georgiana,
Thaddeus said softly.
The left side of your face and left arm took the brunt of the explosion. The doctors had to remove your left arm from the elbow down.
He paused, his voice heavy with sorrow.
And you'll be in the hospital for another 2 weeks or so while your facial wounds heal.
With her right hand, she reached up and touched the thick bandages on her face.
You lost your left eye, and your jaw was shattered. You have a wound there that will take some time to heal. That's the main reason you need to remain in the hospital.
Her brow furrowed as she wondered what wasn't injured or destroyed. Thaddeus answered her unasked question.
Your face will be scarred on the left side, but you should be able to speak. We're not sure yet about your hearing on the left. It may take a while before we know how much will return. The good news is that aside from the damage to your face and arm, you were almost completely unharmed.
Thaddeus gestured to the other man, saying,
This is Theo Zakarian. One of his relatives was also injured in the explosion. She kept you from drowning once you were in the lake. She wants to be sure you recover. Theo, this is George and Stavros.
He was a serious-looking man with silver blonde hair and a well-groomed goatee. His eyes were a light, almost icy grey. When she realized she was staring, she glanced away, and only then noticed Thaddeus was gone, leaving her alone with this stranger.
Please call me Theo,
he said as she looked back at him.
Somehow you seem more like a Georgiana to me.
His whole demeanor shifted, a quick spark in his expression, as if someone had switched on a light inside him.
Would it bother you if I called you Georgiana?
She liked the way it sounded, softened, familiar. Even her father might have approved. She shook her head. She did not mind.
My cousin, Bethany Danielson, had her ribs cracked in the explosion. Even so, she managed to keep your head above water so you wouldn't drown before help arrived. We would be most grateful if you would allow us to care for you while you recover. Does this meet with your approval?
Something about the silver-grey eyes, the quiet sincerity in his gaze, made her agree to his plan.
In 2 or 3 weeks, when you are ready to travel, we'll fly together to Estolia. It's a Mediterranean island south of Barcelona. You'll be able to recuperate in our family home for as long as you need. When you're fully recovered, we'll help you with your next step, whatever that may be.
With mother gone, the world turned cold and gray. You faced the dawn and found a brighter way. A Georgiana strength you hold inside, a quiet courage, nowhere left to hide.